and Sass. The series talking all things skin with a side of sass. Hosted by Kelly George and Andy Paulson. Proudly sponsored by KGA Body. Hello everybody and welcome back to Skin and Sass TV. I'm Andy Paulson.
And I'm Kelly George, and this is Don't Be Envious.
Ooh, what to look for in a lash serum?
Do you use a lash serum?
No, I don't.
But
however, in the past I have, and we'll get to that in a moment, but there is some controversy surrounding lash serums, and even though we don't use them, globally, it's a big market.
it's a huge market. In fact, there's some recent data that suggests last year it was valued at 750 million, but it's projected to reach 1.3 billion by 2030. 1.3 billion.
I don't understand what this is about. So this is
The aesthetic, I guess, of younger people.
It is.
Not that we're old, but like
No, but it is definitely an aesthetic.
they love a long lash.
A long, thick lash. And so, and particularly, for you in your line of work, Kelly, you see a lot of lashes. So you see a lot of lash extensions, fake lashes, I guess, another way to put it. So lash serums fall within that market of, enhancing your natural lash or maybe preventing damage from lash extensions.
Yeah, and I guess we've got a guest coming in for this show, which we'll get to in a second. But I suppose the driving force behind this particular episode was that the leading brand of lash serums in Australia has been pulled from the market worldwide.
And it was available through cosmetic clinics, but also, lash and brow technicians.
To be perfectly honest, I think every single beauty salon, makeup place sold this product, and it was because it worked.
Yeah.
But why did it work?
Why did it work? And the reason that it worked is because it was actually spiked with a medication.
A prescription medication.
Which, full disclosure, back in the day when I was working for the company which manufactured this prescription medication, people were using it off-label.
Yes.
So it has never been approved in
Australia or Canada
for lash enhancement. So it's a glaucoma medication, right?
Yeah, so long story short, people were using this particular glaucoma medication, and what they were finding was that their lashes were growing out of control. And I'm talking, tarantulas. Amazing results, which is really, really cool.
It is cool the way they discovered it. So the older patients who had glaucoma, so issues with eye pressure, were using these eye drops. And they were finding that their eyelashes were getting so long that they were hitting their glasses and they were having to trim their eyelashes. But even more, they were dropping, if they got a bit of the eye drops on their face, they would even start to get a thickening of the hair underneath the eyes. It was crazy. And so obviously in the same way that anti-wrinkle injections were discovered to reduce wrinkles, they thought, oh my gosh, ka-ching.
So there is a product called Latisse, and I can say it because it's never been approved as a drug in Australia. So America have it and they use it, this exact glaucoma medication, and it's in a lash serum and you apply it to your lashes and you're able to buy that just over the counter in America if you go there and you want to. But because it is a prescription drug and because it comes with significant side effects for some people, it has never been TGA approved for use in Australia.
Yeah, so thankfully in Australia we got a pretty good drug administration regulatory body, and they looked at it and they said, well, the benefits of having, just nice lashes don't justify the potential risks. So not everybody will get side effects, but what are some of the side effects people can get?
Some of the side effects, like simple ones, just dry eyes and addiction to the actual drug itself. So then you can get this sort of prostaglandin issue going on where you've got to constantly use it. The major one for me, which, I also worked for this particular drug company and everyone was using it left, right and centre off-label. Because I have blue eyes, I was always very worried that one of the side effects, which is someone with blue eyes can end up with a big brown splotch in the middle of their eyeball. Now, if you're taking this medication for glaucoma and it's necessary, that's a risk that the doctor would discuss with you and tell you that it might happen. But of course, if you're using a lash serum and you've got no idea that that's a potential adverse, you can't make the choice of whether or not you choose to risk having a big brown blotch in your blue
and that's
eyes.
permanent if you do
Permanent.
get that, right? Like
That's
you
right.
can't,
So I
there's no
personally never used
reversing.
it because I just wasn't about it.
I used it and I loved it. I only used it for a short period of time. I stopped working at the company and I didn't have access to it anymore, so I stopped using it. Probably lucky for me. So the guest that we have who we'll be talking to very shortly, she did use these particular products with these particular active ingredients, and she's got a
story.
A story.
Maybe we should just get her on and she can talk you through it, because I think so far we've told you how great this product is, and it does work. But I guess the problem here is the ethics of it all. This particular company spiked their product.
Yes.
They didn't put it on the ingredients list. They didn't tell the TGA that it was in it, and so it was being sold by beauty therapists, over the counter at a chemist, just with no concern for what could go wrong.
That's right. And people loved it because it worked. But then when they discovered that it had this particular medication in, people were like, well, no wonder it worked.
But also I'd like the choice to know if I'm going to end up in hospital.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is what happened to this beautiful guest.
Our poor next guest. So should we get her in then, Kel?
Yes, let's do that.
So we do have a wonderful guest joining us today who is going to help elaborate on lash serums and what to look for, and also share with us her own personal experience. So I'm very pleased to welcome to the show Yola Chavara, who is the owner of Reveal, which is an aesthetics wholesaler located in Melbourne. Now, Yola learned a hard lesson after her self-professed prostaglandin addiction, interesting, landed her in the emergency room of Sydney's Eye and Ear Hospital 2 years ago. Oh my goodness, Yola, welcome to the show. Firstly, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
And you're our very first guest as well on Skin and Sass TV. So this is a special moment for us too.
Yeah, and thanks, Yola. Like, I've known Yola for a little while just through the industry, and we've done a few things together now, and I'm just so pleased that you're on the show and that you're our first guest for the TV.
Yay!
So let's get straight into it though. We mentioned briefly in your intro that you've got a really personal connection to this topic. So do you want to tell us just really briefly how using a lash serum ultimately led you to being in hospital?
Yeah, it was a really traumatic experience, and it actually took me a while to be able to talk about it. But one of the side effects of prostaglandin-based serums is dry eye syndrome. And over the years of me using various types of prostaglandin-based lash serums, I noticed a bit of dry eye. I noticed a bit of styes in my eyes, irritation. I was getting that demarcation, all the things. But you know how some beauty addictions are. You sort of think, I'll be right. It's not killing me. Because my lash aesthetic was really important to me, because I've got hooded eyes. I thought the lashes just really open my eyes up, and I'll do anything to maintain them. So whatever I had to do, whether it be buying product from overseas, getting doctors to prescribe it for me, I tried every prostaglandin serum on the market, and I loved my long lashes until I didn't. And the reason being is that one of the beautiful things about our eyes is that they have this mucosal membrane on them that's designed to keep all the crap out. So whether you get sand or dust in your eye, or like me, a little blob of mascara. Now, that would normally not be a problem, but because I basically had such dry eye, that bit of mascara became dislodged and was working its way into my inner eye. I didn't know this until the mascara, I couldn't get it out. It ended up, my whole eye went red, and I was rushed to emergency 2.5 years ago at one of the aesthetic conferences in Sydney. Ended up in emergency there. It was horrible. Like, I can't even describe the surgery because you have to be awake for it. So I still have traumatic response to that moment. I still have nightmares about it.
It's actually giving me goosebumps. It's like,
I think anything, if you get like a little bit of mascara in your eye, and even if you get it out, it still feels really scratchy for ages. I can't even imagine how uncomfortable this was for you, Yola.
I was in agony, and for a few hours I thought, it'll go away. And I didn't even put the two things together. It wasn't until I had the surgery and they said, look, we've tested your eyeball mucosa and there is virtually no viscosity. There is no tear. There is no liquid. It is dehydrated. Your eyeball is dehydrated. And then they said, we've never seen anything like it. And that's when I put 2 and 2 together. And you know what? That was it for me. That was the final writing on the wall. Yeah.
Well, and so what did they say did you tell them that you'd been using the Lash Serum, and then were they surprised by that?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because since I've seen an optometrist for glasses, and she said she sees it all the time, because I don't know if you've ever been tested for glasses. They do that hydration test because that affects your vision as well. And she's seeing more and more of it because of people using prostaglandin eye serum. So yeah, yes, we do these things to ourselves, but it's not worth the risk.
So just quickly before we get on to the next thing, so once you stopped using that particular lash serum, how long did it take for your eye to sort of recover? I mean, I know you had to have surgery, so there would probably been an added element there, but really, are you still using eye drops for hydration, or have you sort of rebalanced?
That was what I suppose I was in such shock about. I'd gotten so used to those side effects that literally within 1 week of not using the prostaglandin-based serum, my eyes were hydrated. I wasn't getting irritation. My eyes looked better, because people would always say, oh, they look a bit, you look a bit tired because of the tiny bit of pain I was feeling every day. So no, within a week, I was starting to feel, normal again. And I couldn't believe it. There are other side effects too. Just so when you stop using it, your lashes do fall out a little bit. You get a little bit of loss of lash. So it takes a while for your lashes to recuperate.
And I guess you understand this particular product really, really well. You've done a lot of research on it now. What other things can happen, even if it's not, you get a bit of mascara stuck in your eye? What other adverse outcomes are people experiencing from using these particular lash serums?
The most common one is irritation. So you'll get redness and irritation, and people will just use eye drops. And that in itself is a problem too, overusing eye drops.
People use eye drops all the time, and it'd be interesting. I'm going to take note now, because I've got so many patients who I know just use them every single day of their lives, and it'd be interesting to know if they're patients that use these particular serums, because I personally never use an eye drop, but that's because I never use a lash serum.
And do you think people get addicted to eye drops as well? Like, is it kind of like, they're not letting their eyes like recover and function as they're supposed to?
Yeah, especially there's 2 types. There's medicated eye drops, and then there's just the lubricating ones. Lubricating ones aren't a problem. You can keep using them long term. But the ones that cause the reduction in redness, you're only supposed to use them 3 days at a time. And to your point, Andy, if you keep using them, your eyes forget how to respond to irritation. Yeah.
Okay. And so, this, I guess, all of this experience that you had, this awful experience with the medicated lash serums, led you to look for an alternative product. And that was when you founded your current company and you brought a new product to the market. So can you tell us a bit about the product that you brought to the market here and how it's different?
First of all, let's say what it's called. Let's promote this beautiful product. Adore
I happen
eyes.
to have one right here.
Yeah, show us.
It's funny because I had tried non-prostaglandin serums before, so I kind of thought I wouldn't, and they didn't work. So I kind of thought I wouldn't go back there, but necessity forced my hand. And I found this product just through lots of research, and as my lashes were started to restore themselves, I thought I'd go on a lookout. And to be honest, it took me 2 years to find this product. Yeah. There are so many lash serums on the market. The first thing with a lot of them is that they are literally white labeled or cookie cutter versions of themselves. So you can just buy a formula from China and repackage it here. And so many people do that. Actually, Kelly, so much about Adore Eyes is similar to skincare. I think that's why it resonated with me. The main things I wanted to make sure of with importing and distributing a product is that it had so many things ticked off for me. So clinical trial, it had to be a regulated product. So tick of approval from Australian regulatory requirements. So that takes a while because you've got to go through every single ingredient. It had to work. So I had to see evidence of it working, but also it had to present a healthy option with no side effects. So the safety profile had to be impeccable. So, of course, then I bought some and used it myself. I mean, so the actual benefits, that was almost like a secondary thing for me. It had to tick all those items for me first, and then I had to make sure it worked and it restores the lashes, it lengthens them and conditions them so that your own natural lashes have the best life, basically. So you guys will resonate with this because it is so much like skincare. It is like just kickstarting everything that you naturally do, like your growth phases and your natural conditioners. It's basically enhancing and restoring that. So that's why it's almost like an anti-aging product for your lashes as well.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
That makes sense to me because when we were talking about the product before, and I was like, well, if it's non-medicated, how does it work? And so it sounds like to me, and like, have I got this right? It is more about conditioning and preventing, the lashes falling out or, like effects of aging. Because I guess like with skin, our hair and lashes and brows, change as we age. So, we're not like having that same, hair growth that we used to have.
And the cells don't turn over as fast as they used to. So it's about allowing your lashes to be the best that they can be, giving it that boost rather than...
You've hit the nail on the head.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So what are like the key ingredients or the key actives within the product?
And I think this is why our medical aesthetic clinics have gone for Adore Eyes so much, is because it is what we're already doing with skin. But basically there's 3 aspects to it. So there's peptides. So we know what they do. So there's 3 types of peptides. We love them. The 3 peptides work on the 3 different stages of lash growth. So it enhances what the body and the lashes are already doing. Then you've got restorative ingredients like niacinamide, panthenol, that help to strengthen and restore. And then you've got conditioning agents as well that help to, as the lash is growing, it's helping to soften. But one big difference with Adore Eyes that I loved is that it's got this thing called DHT blockers. And DHT is it's a hormone in our body that exacerbates lash loss. And it can increase with age, hormonal change, dietary considerations, just your general health. For example, DHT tends to go into overdrive when you've had chemo, for example. So having a DHT blocker means that it helps prevent premature lash loss.
Okay, that's great.
What about for people, you mentioned hormonal changes. So like for women, like we have people listening who may be perimenopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal. Is that going to prevent, like, obviously, like changes in hormones can wreak havoc on our skin? Is that the same thing with our lashes?
It's exactly right. Yeah, it can definitely, it can make your lashes a bit crimply almost. And that's when you start getting patchy lash areas. So and brows for that matter. So that's one of the common aspects of aging for lashes and brows. And that's why I like to think of Adore Eyes as being like going to the gym. Slow and steady wins the race. Whereas prostaglandin is like a steroid. It gives you that amazing result, but with a lot of side effects.
Yeah, okay. And so you mentioned the brows there. You actually do have a product specifically for brows. Is it the same formula or is it slightly different?
It's actually the same formula. It's just about the applicator. So the brow one has, can you see that? It's got like that cool little doe foot. So it just makes it easier to apply on the brows. Most people get majority, like our stockists have majority lashes and then a little bit of brows. For people that aren't fussed with their lashes, they just want brow restoration. But the lash product is the biggest seller.
So I can see a huge market for this with people that do lash extensions and fake lashes, and they're impacting the condition of their lashes. Are you seeing this as an adjunct to lash extensions? So for people that, they're not looking to get, longer lashes specifically with the lash serum, but they're looking to prevent the damage to the natural lashes. Is that a big market?
It's actually a really perfect use for Adore Eyes because it's oil-free, so it doesn't impact the glue. Yeah. Ultimately, over time with lash extensions, the weight of the extensions forces your natural lashes to fall out prematurely. And guess what the lash extensions are stuck to? Your natural lashes. So you end up getting more and more fallout the longer you have lash extensions. So when you start using Adore Eyes, because you're strengthening and optimizing your own natural lashes, yes, it's going to help lash extensions stay on, but also if you decide to have them taken off, you're not left with
losing
damaged.
Which is, I think that's the vicious cycle some people get stuck in because they're so used to having lashes and then all of a sudden they have none, and so they've got to and you're stuck in this horrible cycle where...
preventing damage to your natural lashes, I think is a big one, as well as extending the life of obviously people are paying a lot of money to get lash extensions and lying there for an hour, every month or however often it is.
That's exactly why I don't do that. I don't have time for that.
But I am super keen to try this lash serum and the brow serum because I have thick brows, high maintenance brows, but they are they've started to get gappy, after years of when we were growing up, the aesthetic was really pencil thin brows. I feel like my brows are still recovering.
Everyone's are.
And occasionally I have done brow laminating a few times, which really kills your brows. The perming solution, it just fries your brows.
Yeah. Well, you can use Adore Eyes as an adjunct to all of that. So just to help things along. And at least you're going to get the results. It might take a bit longer. So that's a really important thing to know. If you're used to a prostaglandin serum, you can get results in 3 or 4 weeks. Adore Eyes, you're more you get a little bit of enhancement after 4 weeks. So softening, your mascara goes on better, the gaps are starting to fill in. But ultimately, the true result is 3 months. So very similar to skincare again.
Yeah, you've got to be consistent, you've got to be patient, and you've just got to put the effort in and you'll see the results in the end, So
if people want to try Adore Eyes, Yola, how can they find out where stockists are around Australia?
Well, we have a website, Reveal Australia, and there's literally a little form where you can type in your area and we get back to you within 24 hours where your nearest stockist is. And we're opening up stockists on the daily. So at the moment, we are stockists only. And we support the entire aesthetic industry with that. So you just punch in your details and we get back to you with your nearest stockist.
Okay, so that website is revealaustralia.com?
.au.
revealaustralia.com.au if you want to check out Adore Eyes or Adore Brows. Head to their website, fill in the form, and they will let you know where your nearest stockist is. Kelly and the girls have been trying it here and loving it so far.
The girls are loving it. I'm slack, but I'll get onto it, I promise.
I didn't try it though.
I used it twice and then I went overseas. But I will promise you I'll get back onto it.
But the girls here have been using it.
The girls have been loving it and they definitely said that they feel more conditioned. And I think we're only about 4 weeks in anyway. So they're at that phase where they're just starting to notice changes. But of course, we've got to keep going with it.
Okay. So we'll link to everything on our Instagram if you want to go check it out and you want to read Yola's blog about her experience with medicated lash serums and why she brought out Adore Eyes. So Yola, thanks so much for joining us today.
So rapt to be on Skin and Sass. I love you guys. Keep it going. I just love it. Every episode. It's awesome.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you for listening, guys. And we'll catch you next time on Skin and Sass TV. Bye.